Okay, so today we're going deep on something pretty important, I think. The link between syphilis and how healthy the vaginal environment is. We've got like a whole bunch of info to dig into here, discussion points. We got an article that really breaks down syphilis and vaginal health. There's even a product called Balance Complex, and then there's this website, vaginalquiz.com.
Yeah. And what we're aiming for in this deep dive is to like pull out those, the most important bits from all of this and really see, I guess, how syphilis can mess with the vagina. And then, most importantly, like what can you, our listener, do to help yourself recover and just like keep things healthy down there?
You're right. Yeah, absolutely. So syphilis, we all know it's a sexually transmitted infection, right? It spreads, like our sources tell us, through direct contact with sores, and those are called chancres. And these often show up, first in the vaginal area. So like the initial impact is pretty direct, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, for sure. And what's really interesting here is that even after syphilis is treated, which it's super important to remember that treatment is like totally essential, but the article it highlights that the effects of it can actually stick around, and that might mean your vaginal environment is like way more vulnerable to problems, you know?
That makes sense. So, okay, so we've got those initial sores, but how does syphilis actually mess with vaginal health, like on a deeper level? What does our article say about that?
Well, it outlines like a few key ways. First, it talks about how the vaginal microbiome gets disrupted.
Yeah.
So think about the microbiome like a community of bacteria that's like really carefully balanced, mostly good bacteria called lactobacillus species. And these good guys, they maintain this slightly acidic pH level, which is typically somewhere between like 3.8 and 4.5. And that pH level, it acts like a natural shield against a lot of the bad microbes that actually prefer things to be less acidic. But then the inflammation that syphilis causes, it can like throw this whole ecosystem off balance. And then it reduces the number of that protective lactobacillus,
Mm-hmm.
and then it allows other bacteria that could be harmful to like take over.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like think of it like a garden where the balance of the good plants gets messed up, and then it's way easier for weeds to start growing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So, okay, so if that balance is messed up, that can lead to the second thing, right? An increased vulnerability to like secondary infection.
Yeah, exactly. And those syphilis sores from the beginning, they kind of create these openings where other infections can get in. And the article mentions specifically things like bacterial vaginosis, yeast infections, and even UTIs. And it can become this whole cycle where dealing with syphilis actually makes you more likely to get these other uncomfortable conditions, which is like not what you want.
Right. And the article also mentions this chronic inflammation thing, right? It's not just like a short-term thing while those sores are there, is it?
No, no, not at all. The way your immune system responds to the bacteria that causes syphilis, the Treponema pallidum, it can actually lead to long-lasting inflammation in the tissues of the vagina. And this ongoing inflammation can weaken that protective lining in your vagina, making it more likely to have more problems later on, and it just causes a lot of ongoing discomfort.
Man, that sounds like a really big and lasting impact on the body. And then there's that whole thing about a weakened immune defense too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Syphilis, it isn't just a localized thing. It has like a systemic effect, which means it can really strain your whole immune system. So when your body's busy fighting off syphilis, the local defenses in your vaginal area, they might not be as strong as they usually are, and it's harder to fight off other infections.
So even after the syphilis itself is treated successfully, the article says there could be like long-term implications for your vaginal health.
Yeah, and that's a super critical point to understand. The article emphasizes that even after that Treponema pallidum bacteria is gone, the balance of the vaginal microbiome and the strength of the local immune system, they might not just bounce right back to normal. And that means you might need to keep supporting and like nurturing your vaginal health for a while.
Wow. Okay, so syphilis can really disrupt things down there. So
Yeah.
what can good vaginal health do to help recovery and even prevent more issues, for you, the listener?
Well, here's where things get really, really interesting. The article makes it super clear that a healthy vaginal microbiome is like essential for recovery. When those good bacteria are thriving, they can really help bring down the risk of those secondary infections that we talked about, and they can support your immune system's natural ability to heal itself.
So it's like actively rebuilding that healthy bacterial ecosystem, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And the article mentions some specific ways that you can do that, right?
It does. The first big strategy is restoring that microbial balance, and that's where probiotics come in. And the article, it specifically highlights strains like Lactobacillus, Acidophilus, L. rhamnosus, L. reiteri, L. plantarum, and B. coagulans. And these are like the hard workers of a healthy vaginal microbiome. Each one can potentially contribute in slightly different ways to maintain the right pH, keeping those bad microbes in check, supporting the local immunity, uh, providing antioxidant benefits, and just contributing to the long-term health of the vaginal environment. So it's like reintroducing a whole diverse and thriving community of those good organisms.
So repopulate with the good bacteria. What about the inflammation, though? Like tackling the inflammation that syphilis can cause?
Yeah, well, for that, the article points to natural things like aloe vera and reishi mushroom. Aloe vera, everybody knows that. That's great for soothing irritated tissues. And then reishi mushroom, it has these natural anti-inflammatory effects that can help your body heal from that inflammation that syphilis causes.
Okay, so what about like directly supporting the immune system, like right there in that area?
Right, so for that, the article mentions nutrients like arabinogalactin and reishi mushroom again. Arabinogalactin is this type of prebiotic that can help nourish the good bacteria, and it also has these immune-enhancing properties. So it's good for a lot of things.
That's great. So lastly, what about just like going right at any bad pathogens that are still hanging around and trying to take advantage of the situation?
Yeah, that's a good point. So the article mentions natural antimicrobials like oregano leaf extract and caprylic acid, and those can help lower the risk of those secondary infections that syphilis can make you more vulnerable to without messing up that delicate balance of the good bacteria.
I see. This is all so helpful for understanding how to like keep your vagina healthy, especially after something like syphilis.
Right.
Now, our discussion points, they also mention this product, Balance Complex. Where does that fit into all of this that we've been talking about?
Yeah, so Balance Complex, from what they tell us, is it's basically this all-in-one vaginal health supplement. It's designed to help restore that crucial balance, reduce inflammation, and strengthen the body's own natural defenses in the vaginal environment. It's positioned as something that our listener might want to consider, especially if you're recovering from syphilis and you want to improve your overall vaginal health.
Right. So it sounds like they're making some pretty big claims about it.
They are, yeah. The information is that Balance Complex has been around for over 10 years and they've sold a ton of it. They claim it's unique because it has this super high concentration of probiotics, like 100 billion colony-forming units per gram, which is a lot. And they also put cranberry and D-mannose in it, which are known to be good for your urinary tract.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then there's this mention of over 17,800 five-star reviews on Amazon, which is, pretty impressive. And they call it a maximum strength blend with 17 different strains of bacteria. And they say it's aimed at, common problems like odor, itching, and discharge. They also highlight that it's non-GMO and it's made in facilities that are registered with the FDA and certified for good manufacturing practices, which is, always a good sign. And they also offer a satisfaction guarantee through Amazon's return policy.
Wow, that does sound pretty comprehensive. So let's break down some of those ingredients, and think about how they might be related to recovering from syphilis and just general vaginal health.
Okay, sure. So the article gives us the details on the ingredients. First up, you've got their vaginal probiotic blend, which has that, 100 billion CFU that we talked about. And they list specific lactobacillus strains in it, Acidophilus, Rhamnosus, reiteri, and plantarum. And then there's also Bacillus coagulans. And as we discussed, these are all those good bacteria that can help maintain that acidic pH level, improve the overall microbial balance, help the local immune system, provide antioxidant protection, and just contribute to a healthy vaginal environment in the long run.
So it's trying to fix that messed up microbiome that we were talking about earlier, right?
Yep, exactly. And then you've got the cranberry and D-mannose blend, which they put in at 300 milligrams. And as the article explains, cranberry can help stop bacteria from sticking to the walls of the urinary tract, and D-mannose is a type of sugar that helps flush out bacteria, which that's especially important because of that higher risk of UTIs that we talked about.
Yeah, it's good that they're thinking about that connection between vaginal and urinary health. Yeah.
So what about the oregano leaf extract?
Well, that's in there at 250 milligrams, and it's for its natural antimicrobial properties, which basically means it can target both bacteria and fungi. So that could be really helpful in reducing the risk of those secondary infections that, sometimes syphilis makes you more likely to get.
Okay. And the 400 milligrams of caprylic acid, what does that do?
So caprylic acid, that's another interesting ingredient. It's really well known for being good at fighting off fungi. So that could help prevent or deal with any, overgrowth of yeast or other fungi in the vaginal microbiome.
Okay. And the article also mentions 50 milligrams of protease and 32 milligrams of cellulase. Those sound like enzymes. What do those do in this situation?
So those enzymes, they work to break down biofilms. Think of a biofilm like a sticky film that some of the bad bacteria and fungi use to protect themselves from your immune system.
And by breaking down these biofilms, protease, and cellulase, they can make it easier for your body to get rid of those unwanted microbes.
That's pretty cool. And what about that 50 milligrams of aloe vera leaf?
Aloe vera, that's known for being, soothing, and it's a natural anti-inflammatory. So in this case, it could be really helpful for any irritation or sores that might be there. Can help reduce the discomfort and help things heal faster.
Right. And the 50 milligrams of arabinogalactin.
Yeah, we mentioned that one earlier. That's in there for its immune boosting ability. So it's helping your body recover from infections and just, keep a healthy immune response going.
And then we have 50 milligrams of aniseed.
Right, aniseed. That's been used for a long time for its antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory effects, which could be helpful in keeping the vaginal environment healthy.
And then there's black walnut hulls at 50 milligrams. That sounds pretty strong.
It is. Black walnut hulls are known for being good at fighting bacteria and fungi, and they're also thought to help the body's natural detox process.
And what about that 50 milligrams of wormwood?
Wormwood has a long history of being used against different microbial infections, and it's also believed to have some immune strengthening properties.
And lastly, we have 25 milligrams of reishi mushroom. We talked about that a little earlier.
Yeah, exactly. Reishi mushroom, that's a powerful adaptogen, and it's included for its ability to boost the immune system and reduce inflammation, which can be really helpful when you're trying to recover from an infection like syphilis.
So Balance Complex is like trying to be this multi-pronged approach to supporting vaginal health, especially when things are, a little messed up, like after a syphilis infection.
It seems like it, yeah.
Now, our article, it also has some practical everyday tips for you, our listener, on maintaining good vaginal health, especially when you're, dealing with or recovering from syphilis.
Yeah, and those are really like the basic steps that everyone should know. They include practicing safe intimacy by using condoms every time, being gentle when you clean yourself, which means like no harsh soaps and no douching, because douching can actually mess up the natural balance of the vagina, wearing breathable cotton underwear and avoiding tight synthetic clothing, to help manage moisture levels, staying hydrated by drinking plenty of water, eating a balanced diet with lots of immune-boosting foods, and of course getting regular screenings for STIs. And those are all, super important for your overall health, but they become even more important when your vaginal environment is, maybe a little more vulnerable.
For sure. Those are really good reminders for everyone.
Yeah.
Now, at the end of our discussion points, there's this mention of vaginalquiz.com, spelled out as vaginalquiz.com. What is that exactly?
So vaginalquiz.com, it's presented as this helpful online resource it's designed to help people understand their own vaginal health better. They describe it as a quick quiz that's based on science, and it can give you a personalized analysis in under 2 minutes, all from the privacy of your own device.
So it's like a quick checkup on your vaginal health?
Yeah, basically. And it's specifically for women who might be experiencing things like discomfort, dryness, unusual odor, low libido, or even those who, just want to be proactive and improve their intimate wellness. It's supposed to be fast, free to use, and completely private.
And what do you get after you take the quiz?
So according to the information, after you finish the quiz, you get a custom breakdown of your own personal vaginal health profile. It highlights any potential imbalances that might be there based on your answers. And importantly, it also gives you some expert-backed suggestions that are tailored to your specific results. And these suggestions could include, things like lifestyle changes, maybe some supplements, or just daily habits that can help you, improve your vaginal health.
So it's like a convenient and private way to get some initial insights without having to go to, awkward appointments or spend hours online trying to figure things out yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the whole idea. It's presented as like an easy first step towards understanding your body better and taking control of your own uh, vaginal health and well-being.
Okay, this has been a really, really informative deep dive into the connection between syphilis and vaginal health. I think it's clear that keeping your vaginal environment healthy is so important, especially when you're dealing with something like syphilis. And it's good to know that there are, things you can do every day, and there are resources like Balance Complex and vaginalquiz.com that you, our listener, can look into.
Totally. The main takeaway here is that the vaginal microbiome is this delicate and constantly changing ecosystem that can be affected by lots of different things, including infections like syphilis. So actively supporting its balance and overall health, it's not just important for recovering from something, but also for preventing problems in the future and just feeling good in the long run.
So as you, our listener, are taking all this in, we hope it helps you think more about your own health and the resources that are out there for you.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, considering how delicate that balance of the vaginal microbiome is and all the things that we've talked about that can affect it, what other things in our everyday lives or, our environments might be quietly affecting our intimate health without us even realizing it. That's definitely something to think about.
It is. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for having me.